game time. Game time. Game time. We winning, we winning, we winning, we winning. It's game time. Game time.
Welcome back to the Gametime Greatness Podcast. We're your host. My name is Brandon. I am the commissioner, and I am here along with my fellow division rival, Matthew.
Matthew Esri, I'm here. No title.
First place, maybe? Question mark?
No, I'm in third. I lost, so I'm 1-1.
Yeah, you
I got
suck.
first in points scored, but we'll see how that goes. So, yeah.
So it's been a while, obviously, since we've done a podcast. Zoom, obviously, because unfortunately I'm in Florida. Time difference.
Ooh.
Can do that. That is fair. But no, we're really excited to give you guys some content. We squeezed it into our busy schedule just for you guys because we know this is the highlight of your week, and we know Grant loves spending the extra time during his week to go out of his way and edit it.
Yes, thank you, Grant. Much thanks.
Okay, week 2 recap. I'll kick it off. I wanted to start out by talking about the disappointment of the week, truthfully.
Me. Okay, Con.
No, calm.
This was just... this might have been like a week that just made him disinterested for the rest of the year, to be honest.
Yeah, that is very pathetic. I'm not going to lie. Trevor Lawrence...
8 points. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he waited on the Trevor Lawrence pick and maybe shouldn't have did that. He could have taken his boy Jalen Hurts at any time, but no.
I still don't hate the pick only because, there's still other quarterbacks you can find. Justin Fields is going on the waiver wire this week. We'll see how that plays out. Trades can happen, whatever. The issue to me is just, man, everyone on his team is rough. I'm looking at it now. A.J. Brown, I watched that Titans game because I have Julio. Dude, A.J. Brown couldn't catch the ball. I don't know what was going on with him, and I think he'll bounce back, but that was tough for sure. Devonta Smith, Shenault, obviously those are going to be boom-bust players. Zeke is the most scary to me. Zeke, he had a good week, but Pollard looks really good.
Pollard looks really good. I'm still high on Zeke, and until he proves me wrong, but, he had a good game, even with Pollard running like that. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that worries me a lot. I have him in another league, and I put him on the trading block.
Clyde is very embarrassing to me. I had him last year, and I thought about taking him again. He is actually a talented back. I don't think he's fantastic. I don't think he's like top 5 or anything like that, but he has talent. His usage in that offense is horrific. They drafted him because he caught a lot of passes out at LSU, and then every third down and every goal line they bring in Darrell Williams. That's not a player you want to own in fantasy, even on that offense. It's just tough.
Yeah, I agree.
And then, he just got no help from anyone. Watkins, Gaskin, Myers, New York Giants defense. Just nobody helped him. It was just it's just sad, to be honest. This competes with people who were starting people on bye back in the early GG days.
What's funny is if he has Pollard on his bench, and if he started Pollard, that would have been his highest scoring player.
Okay, we'll move on from this one. We don't want to spend too much time on the recap, but I just wanted to highlight that's unfortunate for Holmes. Him and Jarvis were having a bit of a debate on who was going to get last place in a text this week. So
yeah, obviously also disappointing for Jake to see him go 0-2 after having 2 relatively strong showings.
I can tell you right now, Jake is heartbroken.
He's hiding under a bed somewhere.
You can just tell he's having a tough one. He loves his team. He was hype about it. And they are decent, and losing Jeudy just killed him. Obviously he scored 155. He's still not a bad team, and I completely agree with him when he said, "I'm the scariest 11th place team you will ever see."
Yeah, I agree. He might be the new welcome to your best week, but we'll see.
There's only 2 teams 0-2, Jake and Holmes. So old rivals going at it once again, going to see who can go for last place. Let's see. Let's move on to me, because obviously everyone likes to talk about themselves. A great bounce back week from me, and I'll say it really realistically was an average bounce back week with Aaron Jones. But then Aaron Jones on Monday Night Football in a game that didn't matter for me, dropping 41.5. One interesting tidbit I did find. Aaron Jones did score 45 points in week 2 of last year. So week 2, apparently, start Aaron Jones. Not that you're ever going to bench him, but you want to own him for week 2.
From here on out, until he proves you wrong, start him week 2.
here, I'm scared about my team, Matt. My top two receivers are Brandon Cooks and Sterling Shepard. Tell me that continues for longer than a week or two, and I don't think it can.
Well, the Texans are starting Davis Mills on Thursday, so we'll see.
And I am going to start Cooks, and I am nervous about it. I mean, he did get a touchdown with Davis Mills in the game, so there's some upside there. It's just, holy moly. I mean, those two players are not players that coming into the year you'd think they would be good. I watched Najee. He seems sketchy unless he gets a touchdown, to be honest with you. Elijah Mitchell, same way. Obviously, Aaron Jones balled out, so he's my one player I feel like I can count on. But I have a lot of could-be elites that are just very scary. CeCe's team, geez, man. That was tough. To go from 200 points to barely breaking 100, it's definitely a tough look. He's looking to trade, make some moves. That's what I was like after last week. When you have a bad week, you're ready to, especially early on, you're ready to go. So
yeah, and I play him this upcoming week, so I wonder which CC I'm gonna get.
And he plays the best, highest scoring player in the league right now. So that's tough for sure. Our division, can we talk about that a second? I mean,
our division has some real firepower in it. I'll say that.
Dash and the Ice Climbers coming at 3, 4, 5, and 6. 3 teams have scored 200 points in that division already, and I scored 186 this week. So, I mean, it is very scary. Any given week, I could play Mike this week, and it could be a blowout one way or the other. We don't even know.
Same with me and CC.
It's very hit or miss. Okay, let's move on to you and Mike. We were just talking about it. Mike scored 200 points, kind of unbelievable. I mean, everyone else seemed to get Lockett, McLaurin, Jefferson, Marvin Jones, Rondale Moore. We actually had a conversation. I was like, "You're not starting Ayuk, are you?" And he's like, "I'm not sure." He ends up putting in Rondale Moore. Holy moly, 24 points. Everyone's Rondale Moore. Waiver wire pickup on the week, and you forget that like in our league we're so deep, we're starting people that they're telling you to pick up on your waiver wire. So, and then Buffalo defense, obviously. Your team did good. I mean, Cooper Kupp, 36.
Cooper Kupp and Kyler exploded for me, but rest of the team just kind of didn't pull their weight. AB and Tyreek Hill didn't show up, so I'm hoping for a bounce back in week 3.
I'd argue you're probably one of the only teams in the nation that lost with Kyler Murray and Cooper Kupp on your fantasy team.
Yeah, probably.
That's a tough break for sure.
Well, I played against Stafford and Rondale Moore. Kind of cancels it out a little bit. But
Grant picking up a huge win. We already talked about that, but let's mention, even though Holmes had a bad week, Grant, it was a huge win for him to go 1-1. Keep those hopes alive with Saquon getting better and better every week.
Saquon should be probably, I'm guessing, a good start this week. You'll be happy with him.
I think, he's been sketchy and he seems like a guy you're a little scared of, but you got to think he improves. He's not 100%. We'll say Noah, this week is going to be playing Jake, but he beat Jarvis in a kind of a squeak out win, only scored 126, opposite of last year. Squeaks out with a low scoring win. He can't complain.
I said it in the group text. Jarvis kind of got screwed over. Two of his players got hurt early in the first quarter, so that's just unfortunate.
Yeah, especially Jarvis Landry.
He lost by less than 10, yeah.
Seems really tough to me just because he did good week 1 and no Odell again, and then just gets hurt right away. What should have been the matchup of the week, Matt and I are hoping to start something we like to call the matchup of the week, where whoever's doing the podcast, Matt's idea, by the way, I don't want to take any credit.
That's all right.
We highlight a specific matchup we think could have a lot of firepower and or has significant playoff ramifications. Last week, I would say that would have been Dalvin and Cobbs and Diggs in a blanket, Zach and Ethan. Man, these guys both had great keepers and had early first-round picks, meaning their team is scary. Zach came away with the win, 171 to 130. Any highlights for you in that matchup?
Not really. Zach's team looks pretty solid. That's all I really have to say about that. Ethan's team was a little disappointing. I think, any team with CMC is going to be scary. So just because he put up 130 this week, he could put up 190 next week. So
we'll run over 3 waiver pickups we had this week. We kind of ran out of time in preparation, but KJ Osborne, $7 for Zach. That seems like it could be really good. Tim Patrick for $24 for Matt. We don't know the jury on that yet. It seems a little high for what he did last week, but we'll see. Same with Elijah Mitchell, 51 points. Or $51 for 7 points that Elijah Mitchell gave me. Definitely disappointing, but 19 carries, and if you watch the game, it seemed like he was always in the game. It was weird for a Shanahan back to always be in the game. So I definitely felt good about that. And
Trey Sermon got hurt, so
and I'm excited about this Packer matchup coming up. I love the Packers, and the run defense actually is their best aspect, but I feel like the 49ers might come to play. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the fun segment. Matt, I would like you to kick us off.
Okay, so I sent out a survey today, and everyone answered pretty promptly, so I'm proud of you guys for that, especially Cole Bennett. He answered like top 5, so...
That's because he was arguing in there about this 2-week playoff.
That was my perfect timing. But, so appreciate you guys. So I asked, what 6 players in the league would you say you think will make playoffs year to year, regardless of what their roster looks like? So the top 6 players in order, Brandon, Noah, then Ethan, and then Jake, Cole Bennett, and the 6th spot goes to Colin Christian. The way I determined this was how many times people submitted your name. Brandon was the only name submitted by all 12 league members.
Go!
And nobody had you outside the top 4, that's really good.
Well, real quick, I'm going to interrupt on that before you go on there. Others, I was actually looking. There's a place on you can click all time if you're on the desktop of Yahoo, and it shows you your all time finishes in GG, and they're all pretty much top 3. Except for I had 1/10. That was the one standout. I had last year 6, which was weird, and then 5th. So I mean, obviously those are playoffs, but not great. But then 3rd, 4th, 3rd, 10th, 3rd, 1st, 4th. So it's like a lot of top 4s. So the numbers back up why people think that way. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Cole Bennett, he put Jackson Jarvis as his number 1. Just food for thought. Interesting. I don't know what to make of it.
I'm gonna say that's BM. I'm gonna say he's making fun of Jarvis, and that's some bitter rivalry coming in already from these new divisions. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean the rest of his picks seem to be pretty uniform with everybody else's though. But yeah, Jake, he included Jarvis as well. Those were the only 2 votes for Jarvis, meaning Jarvis didn't vote for himself. But Jake included Jarvis, and Jake left out Ethan, which is interesting because last week's podcast, Jake, I'm pretty sure, said something about Ethan being the best, which I'm not sure about that. Grant, play the clip.
Storms onto the scene after taking a lot of grief last year, wins the championship, and now it's unanimous best in the league.
Well, let me talk about something real quick. When he said that out of his mouth, I was watching it the next day, and I was flabbergasted. I was like, this must be causing an uproar in GG because no offense to Ethan, but I don't think anyone, because he said, here's his words, I think he's unanimously the top player in the league. And I was looking around like, are you joking? I didn't think...
My face was this.
I was like, he might be in the top tier. That's what I put him at. And I'm like, okay, he's a top tier player. His championships are good. But for playoffs, I disagree with how many people have him so high. I mean, lest we forget 3 years in a row of no playoffs. I think he's 50% in playoffs. I mean, that's no better than Zach.
Yeah. So 10 people submitted Noah, 9 people submitted Cole, 9 people submitted Jake, 9 people submitted Ethan, and 7 people submitted Cece. And the rest of us, little losers, we got 5 or less. So that's all right, though. We've got nowhere to go but up.
I would like to say one more thing on this. I actually put Jake above Ethan for this. Jake, I had a top tier of me, Noah, and Jake because, I mean, Ethan is great, but he seems to draft teams that will either win him a championship or not make playoffs, which is perfect. That's what really, what you care about is winning the championship. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't care if you got second. You don't want to get second. Actually, you're going to have a hurt heart for the rest of the year. But Jake always seems to make playoffs, and I hope I'm not nicing him. I mean, his team's already starting off slow, so I don't think you can blame this one on me.
But he started off slow last year and finished strong.
And I just think he always feels like going into the draft, he feels like a lock for playoffs.
We're going to move on from that part of the survey. If you'd like to see expanded numbers and data, whatever, you can text me and I'll send it to you. So the other part of the survey was, in terms of fantasy football, what player do you associate with this person? And so I'm just going to go through and read the results by person. Okay, so for Brandon, people associated Aaron Rodgers, 3 people, Aaron Jones, Chase Claypool. 2 people said Doug Martin, Boston Scott. I said Philip Lindsay, Eddie Lacy, and last but not least, your man Jermaine Kearse.
Let's go! I'm actually offended by not more Doug Martins. I put that myself, and I was like, come on, man. I was the Muscle Hamsters. I named my team after him, won 2 championships with him.
I wasn't in the league yet, so...
Yeah, that's fair. I guess that's fair. Claypool's interesting to me. Obviously, I picked him up last year, and I was super hyped about the pickup. I only took him this year because I felt like he was the last tier break of receivers. I wasn't super targeting him, but I do like him. But cool. I mean, I like that list pretty good overall. I don't know why Aaron Rodgers. That was one kind of fishy one to me. I think I've had him 1 or 2 years maybe. So
there are a few fishy ones in here, and we'll get to those.
I mean, it is what it is because like sometimes you just associate, like in your mind, you associate certain players. Like it's just how it is. So
yeah. All right. So next is Noah. People associated Peyton Manning, C.J. Anderson, Antonio Gibson, Emmanuel Sanders, Odell Beckham, Tariq Cohen. 2 people said Alexander Madison, which is kind of funny. Chris Godwin, Michael Thomas, Maurice Jones-Drew, and somebody said Deshaun Watson because he's a stand-up guy.
I'm not sure about that last one, but I'll admit to putting C.J. Anderson down. I remember, I think because he's a Broncos fan, and he didn't even have him when he was good. I think he dropped him the year when he was bad, but it just, I don't know. For some reason, he stuck out to me, and obviously Odell because he beat me in the semifinals. Pretty sure I would have won the ship that year. Amazing catch, obviously, and Odell, crazy run. Who's next?
Yeah.
Next is Ethan. 2 people put Myles Gaskin, Jason Witten, Robbie Anderson, David Johnson, Christian McCaffrey. 2 people put Amari Cooper. Someone put in parentheses Dallas receivers, Cole Beasley. 2 people put Antonio Brown. 3 people put Tony Romo, and 1 person put Taco Charlton.
Who are we gonna draft next? Burrito?
Some people submitted multiple names. That's why there's so many.
Yeah, I did 2 or 3 for some people because they needed it.
For Jake, 2 people said Julio. We got Russell Wilson. 4 people said Nick Chubb. Mike Evans a couple times. Ertz, Kareem Hunt, Calvin Ridley, David Akers, Kelvin Benjamin.
Yes.
And I said the Chargers defense. If you know, you know. For Cole Bennett, 5 different people just said any tight end or some variation of any tight end.
Got it, but then I just put I think I put Kelsey just because I was like, well.
4 people put Kelsey. We had Derrick Henry and we had Aaron Rodgers. For CC, any guesses? You put Vincent Jackson, but everyone else put the same name.
I think Keenan Allen.
Yes, you'd be right.
Okay, I put Vincent Jackson because Vincent Jackson was the OG. I tried to bring a little history into it too. Vincent Jackson was his OG Keenan Allen. He had him on like 3 or 4 teams in a row, and he got hurt every year when he was on ZZ's team.
That's funny. Next is me. Somebody put Kenny Galladay for me, which it was Jarvis, I think. I only had him his rookie year when he wasn't any good. But you know what? If that's who you associate, that's who you associate. 2 people put Joe Mixon. 3 people put Le'Veon Bell. 2 people put Jonathan Taylor. Jamison Crowder was in there. For Mike, we had Justin Jefferson.
Real fast. Yours was hard for me because in my mind, a lot of people draft consistent type of players. Jake drafts 6'4" receivers. Brandon drafts like this or whatever, right? I don't notice any consistencies year to year. It feels like you do not change your strategy, but like you're very water with how you draft. You like to change. You draft for value, that kind of thing. So your running backs from last year were kind of the thing because like Jonathan Taylor, I remember you making a splash in the draft. Just like, who knows how he'll do. And obviously he was your keeper this year. But for me, that was really hard. You were the one person that I felt was hard for that. So I just wanted to let you know.
I had trouble with that for myself. So I think that's probably what everyone else was thinking too. But yeah, so back to Mike. Justin Jefferson. 5 people put David Johnson. We had the Arizona Cardinals. We had Josh Rosen. Mike, I think, put Kirk Cousins for Jake. And then someone put Jamarcus Russell. For Grant, we had Tyreek Hill. 3 people put Saquon. 4 people put Patrick Mahomes, Damian Williams, Juju, and Zeke. For Jarvis, we had 6 people put Patrick Mahomes. 2 people put Jarvis Landry. There was a Jay Ajayi in there.
Was that me and Ethan?
I don't remember who the second person was, but you were one of them for sure. And somebody put Matt Gay, which I think that's a kicker, right?
Yeah.
Is that Jarvis's kicker this year?
Or maybe that's implying something else from the name. I'm not sure.
I don't know what that could be. Zach Chambers. People put any Chiefs player ever.
Any Rams player ever?
All Rams was on there twice. But other than that, we had 2 Todd Gurleys, 5 Tyreek Hills, a Dalvin Cook, a Mecole Hardman, and a TJ Hawkinson. For Holmes, CeeDee Lamb, Ray Rice, Calvin Johnson twice. I put Baker Mayfield. I think Mike or CC, I don't remember who it was, put OU running back number 37,658. I think Jake put any player with 0 experience. Joe Mixon was on there, and then we had Bradford on there 3 times.
Oh, I like that. I really like that. I didn't think about that, but I really like that one. Holmes had a lot of good ones back in the day that he's very identifiable for.
Yeah. So there are 2 people who responded to the survey that I wanted to highlight. One is Cole Bennett, who only answered for 4 of the players. The rest he just left blank. For CC, he said Zeke. Fun fact, CC has never had Zeke on his team. He said Aaron Rodgers for you, Brandon. For himself, he said Hunter Renfrow. And then for Noah, he said Carl Nassib.
Well, I appreciate his responses. I'm glad he's involved. Maybe some trolling involved. I'd rather him not answer and get it wrong, like the Zeke pick for CC. So that is what it is.
Yeah.
And then we had Noah, who dedicated himself to this survey. He spent, I think, probably 10 or 15 minutes filling these out. So I'm just going to read out each response from him. For Brandon, he said, Aaron Jones or anything green. This team bleeds consistency. Maybe he could give himself a harder schedule and play in a tougher division.
With possibly the best division there is. You said your division was cake, and so far you're proving it. So
yeah. Okay, for CC, he said Keenan Allen or Eckler, neither of which he has this year. Colin is the epitome of average. If I just wanted to get by in fantasy, I would saddle my horse to this man's team.
Wait, these are hilarious.
Yeah, these are funny. For Mike, he said Jefferson or any wide receiver he can actually name in the NFL. You're probably going to hear his mouth a lot this year with a decent Cardinals squad. For me, he said, did he have a fantasy team last year? Oh yeah, he did, and Alabama would have smacked them. I finished higher than Noah last year, by the way. Then he said, loves him some Jonathan Taylor, which I do. For Grant, he said, Allen Robinson. Maybe Grant should stop paying so much attention to Sleeper so his team might actually wake up this year.
Wait, these are really funny.
For Ethan, he said, CMC, Robbie Anderson. Maybe needs to switch it up. Made playoffs 1 of last 3 years, which is false. It's 1 of last 4 years. For Zach, he said, Dalvin Cook. Not like it matters, though. Save that 8th spot for him. For Colin Holmes, does Oklahoma have an NFL team? For Jackson Jarvis, not sure there's any consistency with this manager. I guess his name is consistent. Hasn't changed it in 3 years. For Jake, Russell Wilson, 8395 puts up the points but regularly falls short. Sort of like his newfound love for the Atlanta Falcons.
It's all fun and games until Noah actually gets stranded, and the only number he knows is Jake's number. He didn't save it for so many years and calls Jake, and Jake says, I'm not helping you, buddy.
Yeah.
That's his in case of emergency. For himself, he put Devontae Adams, and then he said, can't spell playoffs without an Noah. Yes, you can. For Cole Bennett, any tight end with a heartbeat, even if he doesn't know their name. So, there you have it. Thanks, Noah.
That was good, Noah. That was good. All right. I think that was all right for the survey and stuff.
That's it.
Okay. Week 3 predictions. We want to highlight our matchup of the week. And that is going to be... Matt?
That is going to be Jake versus Noah. This is huge because, Jake's 0-2. Noah is 2-0. Do both teams deserve that record? Possibly. I don't know. Noah's team's pretty solid, but so is Jake's. And this early season, you want those wins early in the season when all your players are not on bye and all that kind of stuff. So
it matters. It matters so much. They have all those stats out there. We've done many podcasts over the years. If you start 0-3, whatever, you have a 20% chance of making playoffs. This is a huge matchup. Division matchup. If Noah wins this 3-0 with the way his team looks, Michael Thomas coming back, say he comes back week 8 even. It feels like a shoe-in for playoffs with Noah's team at 3-0, and it seemed like an uphill battle for Jake's team. It doesn't seem impossible, but it's such a big matchup this week against two great teams. Jake's projected 168.68. I don't know most 0-2 teams that have been projected almost 170 in past years of GG. He's actually projected 8 more points than Noah. I haven't checked if Noah's set in a correct lineup, so I don't want to be quoted on that, but...
That being said, I have not liked Noah's team name the past 2 weeks, but I do like it this week.
Last week felt really lazy to me. The Mahomes, Shepherd Mahomes or whatever, I was like, well, okay. I get what he's trying to say.
This week feels lazy too, but it doesn't matter. It's still funny to me.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else to say about this matchup?
Not really. Good luck to both of you, especially Jake, I guess. Did I just nice you? I'm sorry, but I don't know.
A lot of big division matchups in our division this week. Like we self-proclaimed the 300 points and the 186.
Me and CC this week. I'm coming for you, CC.
You and CC, this feels like lopsided in your favor. You had a so-called down week with 150 or whatever, right? And it just feels like Tyreek's he's stored up. Tyreek's one of those players. If he has a down week, you can feel like next week he's coming back with at least 20.
I've been waiting all off season for this, CC. It's time.
Your running backs do have tough matchups. I actually benched my 5th round pick Mike Davis this week because he played Tampa. Looks like Henderson's going to be a little bit more safe than Davis. It looks like I missed that pick. But I still like Davis. Davis had 13 against Tampa. But it's just relying on the catches, right? You're not going to get the yards. Maybe you squeak out a touchdown. But your running backs have tough matchups. I'm still taking your team in a landslide. Starting Chark and Aguilar as your 1 and 2 just seems tough. He has a boom-bust team is all it comes down to. If he has Josh Jacobs back, he has a chance. If not, I think you're going to win.
We didn't make our picks for Jake and Noah. I'm picking Jake this week.
I think I'm taking Noah. I don't really know why, but I'm
just a feeling.
I'm glancing at it. Jake has a good chance. It's just I'm going to go with Noah. I just feel like Jake's due for an 0-3 start. It feels like a tough thing for him. What about picks for you and Mike? I'm going to take you. Or you and CC. I'm going to take you.
I'm going to take myself as well. Bet on myself. Excuse me.
All right. Speaking of betting on myself, I'm going to pick myself against Mike this week. I think it's going to be a good matchup, though. His team is very, very scary. We saw him drop 200. We'll see what happens. Marvin Jones looks pretty good. I'm going to have to make some important sit-start decisions, and that could be the difference in the game. I got Mike Davis, Tyler Boyd, Eli Mitchell, and who's the other one I got to decide between? Oh, Chase Claypool and Sterling Shepard. All those guys are in that same tier of, just tough, and I'm going to have to play that correctly or I might be in trouble. I'm starting Hurts this weekend. Tannehill has had his time. He had a good good throwing week last week, 350 yards, but Henry got all the touchdowns. So Hurts feels safe with the upside against Dallas. I love watching Monday Night Football games. I love having players playing on Monday Night Football games. I like that little last. Like in theory, I would like to be down by 10 points by Mike going into Monday, and I come back with a Hurts win. That's just my favorite thing, and it's not. I want to feel like I should win, and I want to do it.
Yeah, the thing is man, as we know, Tyler Lockett could just explode and break your heart. So you got to watch out for that. And Justin Jefferson, he's due for a big week, I think, especially the way the Vikings are throwing the ball. So, and Matt Stafford's gonna have to throw a lot probably. I'm taking you this week though.
Cool. All right, next matchup. Who are you gonna talk about?
We'll go Zach and Grant.
I was just looking at this huge win from Grant last week to squeak out a win with like 150 or whatever he got playing Holmes. I mean, Zach's team looks like a steamroller right now, and you want to get your wins against your teams like Holmes, right? You don't want to blow it because that way, if you lose to Zach, it's not the end of the world. He's starting 1-2. Like if he loses to Zach, I'm gonna go ahead and pick Zach in this matchup, even with Saquon potentially being better. Zach's team is just very good.
Yeah, I'm not sure I trust the Jalen Waddle moving forward without Tua. I don't know how long that'll be, but his running back core, man, is just so good. Dalvin Cook, Chris Carson, and Eckler, and then Gronk. What a surprise that's been! 4 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns already on the year?
Yeah, he's been sitting on my bench in Dynasty, and I've been trying to trade him because, I have Pitts. I would like to start my youngster going forward, get him that experience. You know how it works in fantasy. The more you start him in your fantasy, the better they get. Yeah, man, he's been a really great pick from Zach. Just all his players. I think Jeudy's been one of my favorite standout players for him, where I just thought, he's an okay player, and he's been solid last 2 weeks. So.
Yeah. Especially if Deontay is hurt, so he can get lots of catches.
Matchup, we got Holmes and or who are you picking for that matchup?
I think I'll pick Zach, but I don't know. I think I'm picking Zach.
Count out Grant. I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibilities. Yeah. I just if I have to pick, I'm taking Zach. Ethan versus Holmes. I'm taking Ethan. Ethan had a down week last week, and he has a good team, so I think he bounces back. Probably scores 180, and Holmes scores 120.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement there. I'm going with Ethan.
All right. Is it Can't Touch This or Fant Touch This? That'll be debated till the end of the season. Can't with a K.
Or Font Touch This.
Good point. That's a good point. Font Touch This. Versus I Shepherd Mahomes versus Jarvis. I think this one's tough because Jarvis really could have squeaked out a win last week. I think Cole wins. I love his team. I think Swift was a really good pick. I didn't have faith in him, but watching him this year, he still looks explosive, and if he stays on the field, his surprising downside has been George Kittle.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say as well. Yeah,
talk about it if you'd like.
I've got Kittle in Dynasty. He's been a real disappointment. That team is just right now, unless you've got Deebo Samuel, you're not happy with really anyone consistently wise. So another interesting matchup in this. Cole has T. Higgins and Jarvis has Jamar Chase. So
they've both been eating. They've both been doing good. And I feel really bad for Jarvis, who took Sermon and Mostert and didn't get any part of the San Fran backfield. That feels really tough for someone to go 0 RB, and I like that strategy. I liked Mostert heading the year, and then there's a tragic injury week 1. You can expect it, but early in the game just obviously hurts for him. And then, Sermon got hurt last week, and he didn't really see. I watched that game. I'm sure most people didn't because it was a boring game, but really, Mitchell was on the field 75% of snaps. Hasty came in 3rd downs and red zones, and I didn't even see Sermon. When he came in, I was like, who is that? And then he got hurt, and I was like, oh, that's tough.
That being said, I'm going to go with Cole this week.
You know what? I'm going to... I think Cole is going to win, but for my official pick, I'm going to go with Jarvis. He's got enough of a flare upside. Mahomes can drop 40 any week. I think Chase is a player that can drop 30, 35 each week. Hopkins had a down week. I think not down, he scores 15 or whatever, but I bet he scores 25. I'm taking Jarvis this week.
Okay with that?
He's got to figure out his flexes. He's got to do something on the waiver wire this week. I know we had that whole thing last year. He said he's going to do stuff on the waiver wire. If he can figure out 1 or 2 startable flexes, He can make playoff. He can make playoffs. That's his weakest part. Callaway and Johnny Smith are terrible for flex.
Yeah, Callaway is not doing it for you, Chief.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I have anything else. Let me just double check. But did you have anything else?
Actually, yes. I did a little looking and research today. I know we were saying that kickers have been buffed this year, but actually, kickers are scoring about 2 points less this year than they were last year at this time.
That's crazy. That's awesome. I'm actually glad you did that research, dude. It's been tragic for me. I've had the kicker on the top scoring offense, and that almost always bodes well. But guess what? He hasn't. I don't think he's kicked a field goal all year because I think maybe
they just score touchdowns.
They only score touchdowns, or they go for it and fourth down. I'm like, dang, I don't know. I might have to give. I'm going to give him one more shot just because they're playing the Rams this week. In theory, the Rams should be able to stop them more than the Falcons. So they'll still get in field goal range. We'll see how that plays out. But I like that stat. Thank you for looking that up. That was awesome.
One more message to CC real quick. I hate you for having Dak Prescott on your team, so now I can't cheer for the Cowboys as much as I want to. I'm still going to, but I would recommend that you pick up someone like Derek Carr, who's doing better than Dak in fantasy anyway. So that's a good guy Matthew right there. So go pick up Derek Carr and start him over Dak. Just do it for me.
Since you gave a little message, I'll give a message to Mike. You know, Mike gets very easily big in his britches. You know, he wins 1 week. I'm the greatest. 200 points. I think he sent me a text this week. It's like, I think our division goes Matt number 1, me number 2, you number 3, CC number 4. And I'm like,
ooh, interesting.
And I think that's a fair comment. I'm just like, dude, you have 1 win, and he scored more points than me both weeks, I think. So it's fair for him to put himself above. But I'm like, Mike, don't disrespect me like that. Come on, man. But you got some respect out of it. So, but Mike, Terry Potter, I don't know. I don't think this is your week.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
This is the week Stafford cracks. I mean, Tampa Bay breaks him, and then
Cooper Kupp's going wild.
DK scores all the DK scores all the touchdowns for the Seattle offense. Lockett ends with 1 point, and he wants to cry.
Honestly, that's due to happen at this point. It's time for a DK game.
All right. Well, that's all I have. Is that all you have?
That's all I have.
Thank you guys for watching the podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, all the great things. I think it's a long podcast. My audio is showing like 35-ish, 36-ish.
Oops.
I was showing a little longer, but hopefully some of that's starting filler. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and good luck this week.